At 2:17 in the morning, Nia Carter slipped through the dark service hallway carrying nothing but her coat and a small canvas bag. She was 10 feet from the back door when every light in the corridor suddenly turned on. Click. 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 Nia stopped. A woman's voice came through the ceiling speakers. Going somewhere? Nia's blood ran cold. At the far end of the hallway, a door opened. Vivienne Lockwood stepped out wearing a silk robe, holding a tablet that displayed a glowing map of the mansion. A red dot pulsed on the screen. Nia's location. You really thought I wouldn't see you trying to escape? Before we continue, subscribe and tell us in the comments what city or country you're watching from, because what Nia discovers about the billionaire's wife will make that red the least frightening thing inside Lockwood House. 3 months earlier, Nia had accepted what seemed like the best domestic position she had ever been offered. Lockwood House sat on 40 private acres outside San Francisco. Its owner, billionaire technology investor Everett Lockwood, traveled frequently but treated the staff with quiet professionalism. His wife was different. Vivienne had rules. Not ordinary rules about uniforms or schedules. Rules about movement. Every employee wore a slim electronic access band. Vivienne called them security credentials. At first, Nia thought nothing of it. Then she noticed the bands recorded more than doors. Where she walked. How long she remained in each room. When she stopped. When she entered the bathroom. Even how long she spent eating lunch. The first time Nia took 17 minutes instead of 15, Vivienne appeared beside her before she had finished her sandwich. You're 2 minutes late. Nia laughed, assuming she was joking. Vivienne wasn't. How did you know? Vivienne tapped her own tablet. You know? Vivienne tapped her own tablet. This house knows everything. After that, Nia began noticing cameras rotating when she crossed hallways. Smart speakers lighting up when nobody spoke. Doors locking behind her. And every evening, Vivienne somehow knew exactly where she had been. One afternoon, Nia deliberately walked into the laundry room, stood there for 30 seconds, then entered the pantry. Vivienne called immediately. Why were you in the laundry room? Nia stared at the phone. I work here. For 30 seconds. I forgot what I needed. Silence. Then Vivienne said quietly, don't wander. That night Nia almost resigned. But Everett was away in Singapore. She decided to wait until he returned. He never received the resignation request. Every email Nia sent to his private office disappeared. Every message she left with his assistant somehow came back to Vivienne. And then the punishments began. Not physical punishments. Something more calculated. Vivienne changed Nia's shifts without warning. She blocked her access to the main employee entrance. She reassigned her bedroom from the staff cottage to a small room inside the mansion. Closer. Easier to monitor. When Nia objected, Vivienne smiled. You're being paid extremely well. I didn't agree to live inside the house. You agreed to follow household security requirements. I agreed to clean your home. Vivienne leaned closer. Then clean it. From that day on, Nia started planning her departure quietly. No resignation letter. No email. No warning. She would simply leave. But 3 nights before she planned to go, something changed. While cleaning Everett's study, Nia noticed a soft beeping beneath his desk. A tiny white device had been attached to the underside. It wasn't part of the mansion's normal security equipment. Nia knew because every official sensor carried the Lockwood Systems logo. This one had no markings. She didn't touch it. She photographed it. The next morning it was gone. And Vivienne suddenly became unusually kind. Sleep well? Yes. Anything unusual during your shift? No. Vivienne watched her for several seconds. Good. That was when Nia knew. Vivienne knew she had been in Everett's study. And she knew Nia had noticed something. That evening, Nia tested a theory. She left her access band inside the linen closet and walked 20 feet down the hallway. Within seconds, Vivienne appeared. Where's your band? Nia stared at her. You weren't tracking the band. Vivienne's expression changed slightly. What? You were tracking me. Vivienne smiled. Put it back on. Nia did. But from that moment, she stopped believing the bracelet was the only surveillance system. Tonight, at 2:17 a.m., she finally made her move. Her phone was powered off. The access band remained beneath her pillow. She wore plain clothes beneath her coat. Her canvas bag held only essentials. She reached the service hallway. Then the lights came on. Now Vivienne stood between her and the exit. You've made this very inconvenient. Nia tightened her grip on the bag. I quit. You don't get to decide that at 2 in the morning. I can decide it at any hour. Vivienne raised the tablet. The red dot moved when Nia moved. Nia stared at it. How? Vivienne smiled. Do you really think the bracelet is how I track you? Nia's stomach tightened. What did you put on me? Nothing. Then how are you doing this? Vivienne tapped the screen. A photograph appeared. Nia entering a grocery store on her day off. Another. Nia sitting alone at a coffee shop. Another. Nia standing outside her own sister's apartment. Those photographs a coffee shop. Another. Nia standing outside her own sister's apartment. Those photographs had not been taken inside Lockwood House. Nia looked up slowly. You've been following me outside the estate. Vivienne's voice became colder. I needed to know who you were talking to. Why? Because you started noticing things that weren't your business. The device in Everett's office? Vivienne said nothing. That silence was enough. Nia stepped toward the door. I'm leaving. Vivienne touched the tablet. The electronic lock clicked. Red. Locked. Then another door behind Nia locked. And another. Nia turned. You cannot keep me here. Vivienne calmly placed the tablet on a side table. I don't intend to. Then open the door. I will. Vivienne walked closer. But first, give me what's in your bag. Nia's heart hammered. There was something inside the bag Vivienne did not know about. A small memory card Nia had removed from a broken housekeeping tablet that afternoon. She had expected schedules and cleaning logs. Instead, it contained hundreds of audio files. Private conversations recorded throughout Lockwood House. Everett speaking with attorneys. Executives discussing confidential deals. Guests talking in bedrooms. Employees calling their families. Vivienne had been recording everyone. And one file was labeled. Everett Lockwood, final week. Nia looked at Vivienne. You're not watching me because you think I'm stealing. Vivienne's face became expressionless. No. You're watching me because you're scared of what I heard. For the first time, Vivienne stopped smiling. Then headlights swept across the windows. A car was coming up the private drive. Vivienne turned sharply toward the security monitor. Her face lost all color. Everett Lockwood's car. He was supposed to be in Singapore for another 4 days. Nia looked at her. Vivienne whispered one word. Damn. And suddenly Nia understood something even worse. Whatever was inside the file labeled final week, Vivienne had never expected her husband to return home alive before it happened. Everett Lockwood's car stopped beneath the front portico. Vivienne immediately reached for the tablet. Nia saw her thumb move toward the screen. Don't. Vivienne looked at her. What? Whatever you're about to erase. Nia stepped between her and the side table. Don't touch it. Vivienne laughed. You're giving orders in my house now? No. Nia tightened her grip on the canvas bag. I'm protecting evidence. The front door opened. Everett entered carrying a laptop case. He stopped when he saw Nia dressed to leave, Vivienne in the corridor, and 3 security doors glowing red. What is happening? Vivienne answered instantly. Nia was sneaking out with something. Everett looked at Nia. Were you? I was leaving. At 2 in the morning? Yes. Why? Nia looked directly at Vivienne. Because your wife has been tracking me everywhere I go. Everett's expression changed. Vivienne sighed. She's become paranoid. Nia almost laughed. Ask her to unlock the doors. Everett looked toward the control panel. Vivienne? They locked automatically because she triggered nighttime security. That system doesn't lock employees inside. Vivienne hesitated. Everett noticed. Open them. She tapped the tablet. The locks turned green. Everett's face hardened. You controlled them. For security. Against whom? Vivienne pointed at Nia's bag. Search that. Everett looked at Nia. Is there something in it? Yes. Vivienne smiled. There. Nia slowly opened the bag. She removed the tiny memory card. Everett frowned. What is that? I found it inside a damaged housekeeping tablet. Vivienne's composure broke for half a second. Everett caught it. What's on it? Recordings. Of what? Everyone. Nia handed him the card. Your meetings. Your guests. The staff. Me. Everett looked at Vivienne. That's impossible. She folded her arms. Exactly. Nia shook her head. There's one file you should hear first. Everett inserted the card into his laptop. Hundreds of folders appeared. Most were named by rooms. Master bedroom. Study. Guest suite 2. Dining room. Then Everett found the folder Nia had seen. Everett Lockwood, final week. His eyes narrowed. Vivienne moved forward. This is stolen material. Everett stepped away from her. From whom? She stopped. He clicked the folder. There were 7 audio files. One for each day. Monday. Tuesday. Wednesday. Through Sunday. Everett opened Tuesday. Vivienne's voice filled the corridor. His flight leaves at 9. He'll be unreachable during the transfer. A man answered. Then Wednesday is safer. Nia did not recognize the voice. Everett did. His face changed. Martin Kessler. Who? Nia asked. My private wealth manager. The recording continued. Martin said. The documents still require Everett's biometric approval. Vivienne replied. That won't be a problem. Everett paused the recording. What documents? Vivienne's face had turned pale. This is edited. Everett stared at her. You're saying someone fabricated your voice? I'm saying you don't know where that card came from. Nia spoke. I found the tablet in the laundry disposal bin. Everett looked at her. Why was it damaged? I don't know. The screen had been smashed. Vivienne looked away. Everett noticed. You destroyed it. No. He opened Wednesday's recording. Martin's voice again. If he returns early, stop everything. Vivienne answered. He never returns early. Everett slowly looked at his wife. Tonight, he had. The recording continued. The transfer has to happen before the foundation vote on Friday. Everett stopped it. What transfer? Vivienne said nothing. He immediately opened his banking dashboard. Nothing obvious had moved. Then he checked the Lockwood family foundation. Still intact. Corporate shares. Still there. Finally, he opened an account he rarely viewed directly. A private holding company called Lockwood West. His face went blank. Nia watched him. What? Everett zoomed in. Someone created a transfer order. How much? Not money. He looked at Vivienne. Voting shares. Nearly 11% of Lockwood Systems had been scheduled to move from Everett's holding company into a newly created trust. The trust beneficiary was hidden behind another entity. Everett clicked deeper. Then froze. VL Heritage Trust. Vivienne Lockwood. Nia stared at her. You were going to take part of his company? Vivienne snapped. I'm his wife. Everett's voice became dangerously quiet. You were going to take it without telling me. You promised me security. I gave you security. You gave me access to a life you could take away whenever you wanted. So you decided to steal voting control? Vivienne's eyes flashed. You have no idea what it's like being married to someone whose entire world existed before you. Nia almost could not believe what she was hearing. Vivienne had spent months controlling employees because she felt powerless beside a billionaire. Everett looked back at the screen. How are you going to get biometric approval? Vivienne said nothing. Nia remembered something. The study. Everett turned. The device underneath your desk. What device? I found a small white sensor under it 3 nights ago. Vivienne closed her eyes. Everett stared. What did it do? Nia shook her head. I didn't touch it. Everett suddenly understood. My desk has a palm reader. Vivienne remained silent. He looked horrified. You were recording my hand? The device had not been a microphone. It had been scanning Everett's palm every time he placed his hand beneath the desk. Enough repeated scans could potentially be used to reproduce the pressure and geometry required by his private authentication system. Everett slammed the laptop shut. Who installed it? Vivienne's eyes filled. Martin arranged it. How long? 6 weeks. And the surveillance? She looked toward Nia. That was separate. Nia stepped forward. Separate how? Vivienne swallowed. I started watching you after you entered the study twice. I was cleaning. You stayed near Everett's desk. Because I saw the device. I didn't know what you saw. So you followed me? I hired someone. Who? Vivienne said nothing. Everett's expression darkened. Answer her. A private investigator. Nia stared. You had someone photograph me outside my sister's apartment. Yes. Follow me to a grocery store. Yes. Track me on my days off. Yes. Her voice remained calm, but anger now replaced fear. And when I tried to quit, I needed to know whether you had copied anything. Nia lifted the memory card. I hadn't. Not until today. That landed hard. Vivienne's surveillance had created the exact danger she feared. Everett opened Thursday's recording. Martin spoke first. The maid is becoming a problem. Nia's stomach tightened. Vivienne replied. She's leaving soon. How? I'll make sure she does. Nia looked at Vivienne. What does that mean? Vivienne's lips parted. No answer. Everett continued the recording. Martin said. You cannot let her walk away with questions. Vivienne responded. I know. Then came a sound Nia recognized. The metal click of the service door locks. Everett stopped the audio. He looked at his wife. You planned tonight? No. The recording is from yesterday. Vivienne's breathing became shallow. Everett opened Friday's file. This time, neither Vivienne nor Martin spoke. A third voice did. Female. Older. Calm. Once Everett signs, Vivienne gets the shares. Martin handles the transfer. The maid must be gone before then. Nia looked at Everett. Who is that? He did not answer immediately. His face had lost all color. Nia asked again. Everett? He whispered. My mother. Vivienne suddenly reached for the laptop. Everett pulled it away. No. Everett, listen to me. My mother died 5 years ago. Silence. Nia stared at him. What? He replayed the voice. There was no mistaking the shock on his face. The woman sounded exactly like Eleanor Lockwood, Everett's mother. But the file had been recorded 11 days earlier. Then the mansion intercom activated by itself. A soft chime echoed through the corridor. A woman's voice came from every speaker in the house. The same voice from the recording. Everett. He went completely still. Vivienne backed toward the wall. Nia looked at her. You knew. Vivienne whispered. I told Martin to shut it down. The voice came again. Everett, please come to the North Security Room. Everett stared at the ceiling. That room had been sealed since his mother's death. And suddenly the surveillance inside Lockwood House was no longer just about a wife watching a maid. Someone had rebuilt the voice of a dead woman and was using it to control the billionaire who owned the house. The dead woman's voice echoed through Lockwood House again. Everett, please come to the North Security Room. Everett did not move. Nia watched him carefully. You said that room has been sealed for 5 years. It has. Vivienne looked terrified. Don't go in there. Everett turned toward her. That's the first honest emotion I've seen from you tonight. Everett. What's inside? I don't know everything. That answer is getting old. He picked up the laptop. Nia, stay behind me. Nia shook her head. I've spent 3 months being watched inside this house. I'm seeing where it came from. They crossed the mansion together. Vivienne followed under the supervision of Everett's private security officer, Daniel Reese. At the north corridor, Everett stopped. The final door had no visible handle. Only a dark glass panel. He placed his hand against it. Nothing. Then the speakers activated. Identity confirmed. Everett Lockwood. The wall clicked. The door opened. Everett stared. That system was supposed to be disconnected. Inside was not an ordinary security room. It looked untouched since Eleanor Lockwood's death. 3 old computer monitors. A leather chair. Stacks of labeled audio drives. Family photographs. And an entire wall covered with employee names. Nia stepped closer. Some names had green marks. Others red. Her own name appeared near the bottom. Nia Carter, active observation. She stopped. This existed before Vivienne started following me? Everett looked at the date beside her name. No. The entry was recent. Vivienne whispered. Martin added it. Everett spun around. You had access to this room? No. Then how do you know? Because he showed me the system remotely. Nia looked toward the hundreds of audio drives. What is this place? Everett walked toward one photograph. It showed his mother standing beside a younger Martin Kessler. She built it. Nia frowned. Your mother surveilled employees too? Everett shook his head slowly. No. Not like this. He remembered now. Before her death, Eleanor Lockwood had become obsessed with protecting the family company from internal fraud. She believed executives were leaking confidential information. She created a private security archive outside the normal company network. But there had been one rule. No bedrooms. No employee quarters. No personal conversations. Only corporate meeting rooms and authorized business spaces. Nia looked around. Someone removed the rule. Vivienne lowered her eyes. Martin did. Everett opened one of the system logs. The original restrictions were clearly listed. Then, 2 years after Eleanor's death, someone modified them. Access expanded. Residential monitoring enabled. Voice reconstruction enabled. Everett stared at the final line. What is voice reconstruction? Nia already understood. Your mother's voice. Everett looked toward the speakers. Vivienne finally explained. Eleanor recorded hundreds of hours of instructions while she was building the system. Martin had fed those recordings into software capable of generating new sentences in Eleanor's voice. He used it for authentication calls, security confirmations, even conversations with old family advisors who trusted Eleanor's voice. Everett stared at his wife. You knew he was impersonating my dead mother? Not at first. When did you find out? 2 months ago. And you stayed involved. Vivienne's eyes filled. I was already too deep. Nia's voice was cold. You always say that right after admitting you made another choice. Vivienne looked at her. Nia continued. You hired someone to follow me. Yes. You locked me inside the house. Yes. You watched me eat, sleep, work, and visit my sister. Vivienne looked away. Martin told me you might expose everything. And you decided that made me less human? Vivienne had no answer. Everett turned toward the computer. The system displayed one flashing warning. Unauthorized equity transfer detected. Below it. Legacy protocol activated. Everett frowned. The voice tonight wasn't Martin. Nia leaned closer. What do you mean? It was automatic. Eleanor had built a final protection into the system. If anyone attempted to transfer more than 5% of Everett's voting shares without a live board confirmation, the North Room would reactivate. Her recorded voice had been designed to guide Everett here. The same technology Martin corrupted had now exposed him. Nia almost smiled. Your mother caught them 5 years after she died. Everett stared at the screen. She tried to. Then another warning appeared. Physical archive deletion in progress. Daniel stepped forward. From where? Everett clicked. A map appeared. Not Lockwood House. A commercial building in downtown San Francisco. Vivienne whispered. Martin's office. Everett grabbed his phone. Call police. Daniel did. Then Nia noticed another flashing folder. Contingency, Carter. Her stomach tightened. Open that. Everett hesitated. Open it. He clicked. Photographs of Nia appeared. Her grocery store. Her sister's apartment. The coffee shop. Then a digitally prepared security report. Subject, Nia Carter. Planned incident, unauthorized entry, theft of confidential material. Nia stared. They were going to frame me. Vivienne covered her mouth. Everett kept reading. The plan was terrifyingly simple. If Nia tried to leave or contacted Everett, Martin would use edited security records to show her entering restricted rooms. Confidential documents would be placed inside her belongings. Her employment would end. Police would be called. Her credibility would disappear before she could explain what she had seen. Then Everett reached the final line. Execute contingency Friday 6:30 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Nia looked at Vivienne. You knew about this? No. Nia studied her face. For once, she believed her. Everett's phone rang. Daniel looked at the number. Martin Kessler. Everett answered on speaker. Martin sounded perfectly calm. Everett. You came home early. Everett's jaw tightened. You're finished. I doubt that. Police are heading to your office. A pause. Then Martin laughed. My office. Daniel's face changed. Martin continued. You really think I would keep the only physical archive there? Everett looked toward the system map. The deletion signal suddenly moved. The location changed. Nia's eyes widened. It was no longer downtown. The flashing marker appeared directly beneath Lockwood House. Sublevel 2. Everett whispered. There is no sublevel 2. Vivienne went pale. Yes, there is. Everyone turned toward her. She swallowed. Martin showed it to me once. Where? Vivienne looked toward the floor. Under the old indoor pool. At that exact moment, the mansion lights went out. Emergency lighting flashed red. Then a heavy mechanical sound came from somewhere below them. A door opening. Daniel reached for his radio. No signal. Everett looked at Vivienne. Who is down there? She stared back at him. I don't know. Then Nia's phone, still powered off inside her bag, suddenly lit up. One message appeared on the screen. No sender. Just 5 words. You should have kept running. The message glowed on Nia's phone. You should have kept running. Everett stared at it. Your phone was off. Completely. Daniel checked the device. No cellular signal. Nia looked toward the floor. Then the message came through the house network. Vivienne whispered, Martin can control almost everything from sublevel 2. Everett turned toward her. You're taking us there. Fear flashed across her face. No. You helped him build this. I helped him access it. I didn't build it. Then start fixing what you helped destroy. Daniel used the emergency stairwell while Everett, Nia, and Vivienne followed. Beneath the old indoor pool, they found a steel maintenance door hidden behind a removable wall panel. Vivienne entered a 6-digit code. The door opened. Cold air rushed out. Rows of servers filled the underground room. Screens displayed live images from inside Lockwood House. Bedrooms. Staff corridors. Kitchen. Driveway. Even Nia's empty room. She stopped walking. For months, she had felt eyes on her. Now she could see them. Hundreds. This is what you watched. Vivienne looked ashamed. Some of it. Nia turned toward her. There is no some when someone's privacy is being stolen. A warning flashed across every screen. Archive purge, 41%. Everett moved toward the main console. How do we stop it? Vivienne shook her head. Martin controls the administrator account. Nia noticed a second monitor. It showed the original Eleanor Lockwood interface. One line remained active. Local owner override available. Everett. She pointed. He placed his palm against the scanner. The system rejected him. Biometric conflict. Everett stared. Martin replaced my profile. Vivienne went pale. That's how he planned to approve the share transfer. Nia looked around. He copied Everett's palm to imitate him. Yes. But this system was built by his mother. Everett understood. She wouldn't rely on one biometric. He looked beneath the console. A small microphone. Everett leaned toward it. My name is Everett James Lockwood. Nothing. Nia remembered the reconstructed voice. Maybe it isn't asking who you are. Everett looked at her. She pointed toward an old photograph beside the console. Eleanor holding Everett as a child. On the back, handwritten. What matters most cannot be copied. Everett stared at it. Then smiled faintly. My mother had a phrase. He leaned toward the microphone. Power means nothing if everyone around you is afraid. The system unlocked. Owner verified. The purge stopped at 46%. Daniel immediately began copying the remaining files onto police-secured drives. Then another voice came from behind them. Step away. Martin Kessler stood in the doorway. He wasn't carrying a gun. He was holding a small black remote. Vivienne recoiled. Martin. You were supposed to delay him. I'm done. Martin laughed. You were done the moment you let the maid leave her room. Nia looked at him. I never actually left. His expression hardened. That was your mistake. No. She stepped closer to Everett. Your mistake was assuming watching people made you understand them. Martin raised the remote. Daniel froze. What does that control? Server cooling. Everett frowned. Martin smiled. If these machines overheat, the surviving archive dies with them. Nia noticed something behind Martin. A manual fire control lever. Not electronic. Old-fashioned. She looked at Daniel. He followed her eyes. Martin pressed the remote. Fans shut down. Temperature warnings appeared. Daniel moved first. He tackled Martin. The remote skidded across the floor. Nia ran to the fire control lever and pulled it. Steel ventilation shutters opened overhead. Emergency cooling activated. The servers stabilized. Martin struggled beneath Daniel. You have no idea what was on those files. Everett looked down at him. That's exactly why the police will. Within minutes, county officers entered the sublevel. Martin was arrested. The remaining archive revealed everything. 4 years, he had expanded Eleanor Lockwood's legitimate corporate security system into an illegal surveillance network. He recorded employees, guests, executives, and household workers. Then he used private information to manipulate financial decisions. Vivienne had joined him after learning she could use the system to monitor Everett and strengthen her position inside the marriage. But investigators found something important. Martin had never forced her to torment Nia. Those choices were hers. She had ordered the private investigator. She had tracked Nia's movements. She had moved her bedroom. She had locked the exits. She had tried to prevent her from resigning. And she had known Martin intended to frame Nia for theft. Vivienne was charged with unlawful surveillance, attempted fraud, conspiracy, unlawful restraint, and evidence tampering. Her marriage to Everett ended. Martin faced additional charges involving financial fraud, identity manipulation, illegal recording, and attempted theft of corporate voting shares. Lockwood Systems cancelled the transfer before a single share moved. Everett did something more difficult than firing people. He admitted publicly that the surveillance had operated inside his own property while he failed to notice what employees were experiencing. The mansion's internal monitoring system was dismantled. No tracking bands. No private room cameras. No employee location logs. An independent privacy firm audited every Lockwood property. Nia resigned anyway. Everett did not ask her to stay. 4 months later, she met him at a small office downtown. He handed her a settlement agreement covering the illegal surveillance, housing restrictions, and emotional harm she had endured. Nia read it carefully. This doesn't buy my silence. No confidentiality clause. She looked surprised. Good. Everett nodded. You should be able to tell your own story. Nia used part of the settlement to create a worker privacy advocacy program helping domestic employees understand digital surveillance in wealthy homes. On the first day, someone asked why she had finally tried to escape Lockwood House. Nia smiled. I thought leaving was the brave part. She paused. It wasn't. The brave part was realizing I never needed permission to leave in the first place. And somewhere in an evidence warehouse sat the tablet Vivienne once used to track a red dot moving through her mansion. 4 months, that dot had represented Nia. Controlled. Observed. Cornered. Now there was no dot. No locked door. No voice following her through the ceiling. Nia Carter had disappeared from Vivienne Lockwood's screen. Because this time, she had truly walked away.